Visibility is the highest currency, but not just showing up. You got to show up as an expert and an authority. Clarity on that message has to come before any of the equipment, any of the show, anything. Your signature message has to come. You got to be clear on what it is that you're saying. Consistent podcasting builds trust and positions you as a go-to expert in your space. No matter what kind of business you have, podcasting can help and assist you in much better ways than a lot of traditional advertising.
The podcast about podcast.
What's up? What's up? What's up? If you have been thinking about doing a podcast, or you've been doing a podcast and struggling, or you just like podcasting, this is the show for you. I am your host, Ryan C. Greene. Welcome to the first episode of the podcast about podcasts. Podcast. What? I've been doing radio and TV for over 20 years. Podcasting to some degree, while that's a technical term, we know podcasting really at this point, it's just TV shows. But now I not just only coach, but I'm a podcast executive and I help podcasters launch their brands, launch their podcasts, build authority brands through podcasting here in our studio, Greenhouse Media Studios, with my podcast partner. And I'm starting something new today. We're doing it. First of all, this is live, so that's new. But we're doing our brand new podcast. You heard the name, the podcast about podcasts. Podcast. So this is a show where we're going to answer your top questions about podcasting. But I'm not just going to be the one answering them. For the first few episodes, as we get laid the groundwork, I'll lay down some groundwork and I'll be doing the shows myself. But what this show is going to be is each episode, I'm going to interview a podcaster. And that podcast is going to answer 10 questions, the 10 top questions that people have about podcasting. So we're going to learn from podcasters about their journey in podcasting, how they're building their podcast, the setbacks and pitfalls they run into, the successes they've had, all the things you want to know about podcasting. We're going to talk to actual podcasters. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please go ahead, hit the subscribe button, but also hit the notification button, because I'm not even sure when we're going to do this show. Like, I'm not even sure what day of the week I'm going to broadcast it. This is one of them things where it's like I had an idea and I was like, I've got to just do it, got to start, because I procrastinate or get involved with something else and forget and not even come back and do the show to be months later. So I was like, I got to do it. We're going to get your feedback from it as we go. Right now we are live, so we're going to figure that thing out so I can have some interaction with you all. I don't even know if the future shows will be live when we have the guests, whatever. Look, we're going to work it all out, but I want to take you on that journey, because as we talk about podcasts, this is live, you are going to experience and witness the growth of this podcast live. So as we're teaching and learning, you're going to see those implementations on this show. But this is not my first show. I have other shows as well that I've done, but I wanted this show to be kind of a living, breathing experiment and workshop so that we're all learning together. All right, so let's jump in. I can't even guarantee how long each show is going to be. I don't have a time limit. We're just going to get the information and we're going to have some fun doing it. So if you are watching, go ahead and comment where you're watching from. Let me know where you're watching from. If you're live on YouTube, again, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Y'all seen those new YouTube rules about to come out. So we got to get these subscribers up and we got to get these views up to make sure that we are in the number when February comes and they double those view hours so we can monetize this show. And I know monetization is one of the biggest things people think about when they talk about podcasting. We're going to cover that as well. So if you know some podcasters, let them know about this show. Let them know what's going on so we can have them on the show as well. So let's jump right into it. That's the foundation. We've laid the groundwork. And also, if the live kind of lags, because you know how live streams are, if it kind of lag, I can't tell. But if it does lag, the replay should be perfectly fine. So that'll be available. You can go back to the replays too as well. And if it's too much lag, we won't do them live no more, because I'm all about quality, So let's jump into it. Today's episode dedicated to those who want to do a podcast. Maybe you've been doing a podcast and fumbling around with it. You're kind of playing with the idea. Today we're talking about stop overthinking your podcast. Stop overthinking your podcast. All right. Now you've been, I say, Those who don't know me, those who aren't familiar with me, I teach and speak a lot from personal experience. A lot of this stuff that I talk about and teach is me talking to me first. And then I learn it, I apply it, and then I share it with you. All right. So when I talk about stop overthinking your podcast, I am guilty. I am offender number one when it comes to overthinking, period. So overthinking a podcast, that's why I wanted to just jump out and do this one. That's why I didn't want to waste any time. That's why I didn't want to, I've got to do this and plan that and set this up and batch record these and that. I was like, nope, I'm just going to go and do it, and we'll figure it out as we go. So stop overthinking your podcast, because I promise you, as a matter of fact, I've got a stat. Let me find that for you. I just saw this recently about podcasting. Let me find where I have it. Here we go. So a lot of you think, podcasting is saturated. Everybody got a podcast. I got to make my podcast look a certain way. I got to make it this and that so I can compete. Here's some numbers. And this is data from Buzzsprout as of January 2025. Okay. It said the total number of podcasts. That means, I guess, you go across platforms, the number of podcasts that are on platforms, 4,378,632. Yeah, that's a lot, right? 4.3, almost 4.4 million podcasts exist. All right, that's not episodes, that's the actual shows, right? 4.3 million. Of those, 2,966,000 of those podcasts have published 3 or more episodes. So again, almost 3 million of the 4.4 million actually published 3 or more episodes. So you're talking about out of the 4.4 million, only 3 million actually even went over 3 episodes. So there's a lot of shows out there that didn't even get past episode number 3. And we're going to talk about that as we go as well, about just being consistent. That's what we're talking about today. But even just didn't get past episode number 3. Then here's the thing. Here's the kicker. We went from 4.4 million down to just about 3 million who actually did more than 3 episodes. The number of podcasts that published in the last 90 days, that's in the last 3 months, the number of podcasts, the number of those 4.3 million that have done an episode in the last 3 months, 412,000. 412,000 of the 4 million. So what's that, like 1%? Let me see. Yeah, that's like 1%. Is my math right? 10%. All right, so 10% of them have published an episode in the last 3 months. Not 3 days, not 3 weeks, 3 months. So think about that when you're thinking about, there's so many people out there. There's people who say they have podcasts. There are people who have done a podcast, but people who are actually building a business consistently with podcasting, the numbers are not nearly what you think they are. All right, so we want to stop overthinking. And today we're going to get into 3 core things about getting you to stop overthinking your podcasting and why podcasting should be your go-to authority brand building marketing tool. It should be the marketing tool that you use for your business. No matter what kind of business you have, podcasting can help and assist you in much better ways than a lot of traditional advertising in growing your business and your authority brand and generating more revenue. So how do we do that, Ryan? The first thing we want to do, and this is what I specialize in teaching as a best-selling published author of 8 books, been in the publishing industry for over 20 years, published hundreds of other authors and coached thousands of authors. The first thing you need to do is start with a signature message. Start with a signature message. Now, when I say signature message, like, what is a signature message? I know what a signature message is. My show is about. No, not what your show is about, but what is the message of your show? What is your signature message? See, a lot of people, you may say, well, I talk about a topic. Like, when I say your signature message and you give me a topic, that's not a message. Like, what is your message to that topic? And how do we find your signature message? First and foremost, your clarity on that message has to come before any of the equipment, any of the show, anything. Your signature message has to come. You have to be clear on what it is that you're saying. What are you bringing to the marketplace? If I talk about leadership, there's so many different ideas and ways you can talk about leadership. So what is your signature message? What is it that you're saying specifically? And how do you figure out that signature message? Well, you got to answer these core questions. You got to know who you serve. So not just your signature message, who is your signature audience? So who are you speaking to with your message? So you got to know your signature message. So once you know who you're talking to, that will start to cater how you say what you say, where you say what you say. Listen, if you've got a program and your signature audience is baby boomers, then TikTok might not be the best place for you. But if you're a young Generation Alpha or Generation A, person who's under 20 years old and you're starting a show, then you probably aren't going to be on Facebook because the young people who you're talking to aren't on Facebook. So you got to know who is it that you serve, who's your signature audience. And then secondly, what is the problem that you solve for that audience? Not what do you know, not how smart are you, not tell me all the things you've done, but what problem do you solve? What do you do that can help my life get better, that can help your audience get better? You've got to be clear on that problem. Again, not what do you know. I think this is what gets so many people caught up because they're like, well, I know a lot of stuff. Well, I want to just talk about what I know. And that's cool. But listen, no one wants to sit there and hear you talk about how smart you are all day. No one cares about how much you know. We want to know how much of what you know can help me, can help your audience. So you got to understand the problem that you solve and the transformation you create. What is someone's life going to look like after you solve their problem? That's how you start to build that signature message. Know specifically to whom you're speaking, what problem of theirs that you solve, but then what is their life going to look like on the other side once you solve that problem? That's where your signature message comes in. And I see a lot of podcasters that just want to get on the mic and talk about stuff, or they want to interview people. Even if you have guests, your guests, I see too often podcasters get stuck on trying to get the big name guests. You want to build a celebrity. You think I'm just gonna get views and clicks. And that's a popularity contest, which I have no problem with that, depending on what your podcast is about. But when you're talking about transformation, even having your guests, you got to be specific in your guests, where your guests don't have to be always the most popular person, but are they providing a transformation and solving the problem for your audience? Those will be the most impactful people. So that's what you want to focus on, getting impactful guests for your audience, not celebrity guests for your ego. I should have told you. I'm keep it real. I'm going to step on some toes maybe, but just, again, know that I stepped on mine first, all right? So I'm dusting off my shoes before I go stepping on yours. Because then with that signature message, that's how you build the connection. That's how people understand and begin to trust you, begin to like you, begin to want to hear more from you, right? People may listen to your first podcast, but if they're not connecting with them, if they don't really feel like you're speaking to them, if you're not, solving a problem and providing transformation for them, they're going to leave. So that connection beats the production. Listen, I am big on excellence. I believe that, the better your podcast looks, the better the podcast industry looks, but also I believe the better you look and it creates better opportunities for you. But you've got to have a connection first. You can have all the stuff, can be the lights, the cameras, and all that stuff, which we can get into right next, can look nice. But if you aren't connecting, there's not a signature message that connects you with your audience. You're just putting stuff out there hoping it works. All right. And that's what frustrates a lot of people. That's where those 4 million podcasters who don't, they just fall off. They don't do 3 episodes. They never got that connection. They never realized what it is that they were going, who they were speaking to and why. So that's important. That's number one. Start with your signature message. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if that related to you. If you was like, you know what, that's where I struggle. Put a 1 in the chat. I struggle with building my signature message. All right. So let's talk about now, what do you actually need to do a show? Again, we're laying the groundwork, the foundation. This is show number 1. What do you actually do? What do you need, rather, to do your show? And it's 4 simple elements that you need to do. And I'm talking about video podcasting and why I'm going to tell you why I stress video podcasting. All right. The first thing you need is just a smartphone or a camera. Like I'm using a Sony S3 camera right now, so that's one of the higher end cameras. There are cameras higher than that, obviously, but there's one of the higher end cameras. But you could use a smartphone. You can put your smartphone. I got a Galaxy S24. So I haven't got the 25 or 26 yet. But you got the iPhone, the 16, 17s. Those all have great cameras. Some other, I know there's more than 2 phones in the world, but your phone camera can be great. All right, but here's the thing. So once you have your camera, you need a good camera. You need good video quality because the better you look, the more serious people take you, right? The better you look, the more professional you look, the more people take you as a professional. When you look like you invested in your show, when you look like you invested in your program rather than just turn on a Zoom camera, people take you serious and they start to sit up and pay attention to what you're saying, right? But once you get that camera, the camera is step one. Even more important than the camera, even more important than the camera is number two, that's the microphone. See, people will forgive poor video long before they forgive poor audio. See, if my video right now, like it could be, like I said, it could be lagging right now with the live. It may be less than 4K quality, what you're looking at on the live, even though I'm recording in 4K quality, but certain things, that. But the video, you may say, okay, well, the video is not looking as spectacular as I would like it to, but the audio is good. All right, so the audio is good. So especially if you're using a phone, you've got to have a great microphone. All right, if you're using your phone and your camera's set up probably about 8-10 feet away from you, and you're talking, that audio is going to be horrible. You're going to get all the background noise, all the atmosphere noise. You're going to be hard to hear. So you've got to have a microphone specifically for your phone. You want to have a lapel mic or something that can go into your phone. It feeds the audio directly to your phone. So there's the DJI mics, there's the Rode mics. I know you all seen it. One of my biggest pet peeves. People have the big block microphones and they sitting there with the microphone on their shirt like this, and you can get the lavaliers to make it more discreet, or those who sit there with the microphone holding it up, and they got the big dead cat on it, it's for outside use, but you're using it inside. A whole lot of people use the microphones incorrectly. I know some people have strategies behind it, some people just don't know. But the point of the matter is that as long as you have a microphone, your sound's going to be good. If you're doing a traditional studio, before I get to traditional studio, if you're doing a studio at home, a USB mic, one that goes right into your computer or laptop, a Blue Yeti microphone. Those work great. That's my first microphone I had when I started my show. I still use it in my home office, and those are great. Plugs right into your computer. Computer picks it right up. Great audio for that sound. But then if you want to do more studio, the Shure SMB7, that is like the industry standard. You see these microphones. Everybody uses these microphones because of the quality, because it doesn't pick up a lot of background noise. But there are things, you can't just run this into your laptop, right? You have to have other equipment with this. So this is more of an upper level microphone. But when you on an higher level, you get higher level quality, right? So you need a decent microphone, regardless of where you are, what you can do. You need a good microphone. What you cannot fall into the trap of is thinking that, oh, well, people will understand I'm just getting started. No, they won't. They'll turn the channel. People will forgive me if my show is good. No, they won't. They're going to go and scroll to somebody else. So don't expect people to forgive you because you aren't ready. Show up as your best self and expect them to like that. And then you need good lighting. Lighting is important, like because you don't want to, this goes with the video, some of the cameras, depending on your camera, the lighting is going to determine how good the camera is, how good the lens is. So in my studio, I have two 300-watt lights here, studio lights, but you can use a ring light. If it's something starting small, a ring light works well. A 12, 15, 18-inch ring light will work perfectly fine and give you the kind of light that you will definitely look better than your room, just a regular room light. And the thing about the lighting, most of our homes, we have warm lighting. Like if you look at your light bulb, it looks yellow. Well, that doesn't necessarily look that great on camera. So, when you have studio lighting or even a ring light, you want that white light. It's called daylight. I'm not going to get into all the technical numbers and all that, but understand warm light is kind of what your house is. Daylight is what you want for your studio and your camera stuff. So that's where you get real white light, so your colors look like the colors they're supposed to look like. So when you're looking at lighting, you want to do that, all right? And then your atmosphere, your set. That's the fourth element. What does your set look like? Where are you? Do you have a dedicated space in your home that looks professional, that looks like someplace that someone will want to be with you and listen to you and learn from you? Or are you just sitting at the kitchen table? Or are you in your car, people looking at the roof and the sunroof of your car? Where are you? That setup is important and valuable in developing a great show. So that's all you need. You need your camera, you need your microphone, you need your lighting, and you need a good set. One tip about lighting, and we'll talk about this in another episode more in depth, but one tip about lighting, You want to have better lighting in front, brighter lighting in front than you have from behind. So you got a lamp behind you. That should be an atmosphere light, a mood light, not your key light. If you got a light above you, it's got to be brighter. So you don't want to be in front of a window, right? If you don't have a light shining on your face, you don't want to have a window behind you because all you're going to see is silhouette, right? So make sure that you're doing that. And then the next thing, number 3, why podcasting is important, why you got to get off your butt and just do it is, well, first of all, no, we're going to keep going. So for number 3 is that the podcasting changes your authority. I talk about, that's what I do. I help people build their authority brands through podcasting. Think about it. When somebody is on TV, whether it be on that physical TV or on your phones, your laptops, your tablet, however you watch television programming, you pay attention. All right. And especially if it's a professional show, because it changes their authority, because everyone's not doing it. So the same thing when they're talking about writing a book. Writing a book positions you as an authority because you took the time to research something, and hopefully you didn't chat GPT the whole thing. You went and researched something and took time to write about it and teach. So that changes your authority and changes your position. That's the same thing podcasting does when you're consistent. So that's the thing about being on a podcast, that consistent podcasting builds trust and positions you as the go-to expert in your space. When people go, I'll say this all the time, when someone Googles the answer to a question that you specialize in, you need to show up as the answer. And what's the best way to show? I won't say what's the best way. I'll let you tell me what the best way is. So if you are doing something and you're the expert, let's say you do nursing, home nursing, right? So someone for seniors, and someone's looking for an answer on what's the best way to take care of my elderly parent. Now, you can show up and you're in this work, right? Well, when they go and search and your LinkedIn shows up, so that talks about you. Okay, so I know this person knows it, but I don't know what they're doing, right? Or an ad that you ran, or a Facebook or social media post that you did talks about it. That may bring awareness to you as somebody who may know. But what if a podcast showed up where now they can sit with you for 20, 30, 45 minutes to an hour and hear you discuss and talk about, from a level of expertise, nursing and taking care of parents. And now they're like, okay, now this person really knows what they're talking about, and I can begin to trust them and build a relationship with them, even though they never met you, build a relationship through listening and watching you. That's why podcasting is important. That's why I position you as an expert. If someone is searching for an answer, and clips automatically always come up of you talking about that. But if you don't have the clips, you don't show up, they go to someone else who does. That's why podcasting changes your authority, because it automatically gives you content that people will find when they're looking for you or the answers to what you provide, but then also positions you because now you're like, well, this person not just does it, they're taking time to teach it, which means they really know it, and they've invested in being able to teach that. So that's important. Authority also creates that opportunities, right? So now that you had that show, that creates other opportunities for you, and that's where we start really building the business. People get stuck on thinking that the show itself has to make all the money. No, your show is your introduction. Your show is your authority builder, because now once they see you, that one will attract more clients to you because they're like, oh, I want that person. Everyone wants the best, right? So if you're showing up as the best, if you're showing up the one that's always teaching, then they want to be with you. So it's going to attract more clients. With that, what that means, money. It's going to attract more speaking engagements. It's going to attract more opportunities. It's going to attract more media engagements. It's going to attract more partnerships, all because you took time to do the show. Trust me, I know by doing this show, someone's going to see this and say, oh, that guy's talking about podcasts. I want to start a podcast. Let me tune in next week. Or let me bring him out to speak to my group about podcasting. Or let me go into his studio and shoot my podcast as well. One of those things is going to happen. That's why you do the show. It couldn't happen if I didn't have the show, right? So, or it could happen. It would take a lot more work, or be a lot more difficult to do that. And that's the thing. So opportunities follow visibility. You got to be there. You got to be visible in this current state of affairs and the economy. Your visibility is the highest currency, but not just showing up. You got to show up as an expert and an authority, and you do that by doing a podcast. So what are the big takeaways, right? As we close, number one is you got to stop waiting. Stop waiting. Go ahead and just do it. Start where you are. You don't need the best. You don't need the top of the line to get started, but you do need to master what you have at your level. All right. So make sure just go ahead, stop waiting, and go and do it. I promise you, your first episode will be your worst episode. And what better time to mess up than when no one's watching? Go out there and master your show. Get past that third episode that so many people don't get past. And then, then you can go back and look back a year later and laugh about, oh man, I really was that bad. But you still did it. You stuck with it. One of the best things I love to watch in my clients, my podcast clients that I produce, is when we look back a year later and look back at that first couple of episodes when they, oh my God, I can't believe I was so nervous. I can't believe that we, looked like this, or, I see how I upgraded the set, whatever it may be. That growth only happens when you start. All right. And then number 2, start with what you have. Use what you have, what you know, and the audience you already have access to. So, maybe you're not posting shows all over, but where your biggest audience is, post right there. Maybe your show isn't going to be on YouTube yet. Maybe it's not going to be something, but you're just doing something. You're doing lives, and you set it up as a podcast, whatever it may be. Show up and start with what you have. Start, if it's just the phone, start with the phone. Get the lapel mic, a couple $100. And here's the thing. This stuff is not cheap. I will tell you that. Getting in this industry is not cheap. But if you're going to do it, you can't, you got to understand it's an investment with it. Either we willing to grow into that investment, or say, look, this ain't for me, right? Support somebody else. And then finally, consistency creates that clarity. That clarity comes through action. You ever watch someone speak and be like, oh, how are they so good? They didn't even use their notes. It just comes and flows, and it's so great. How do they do that? It's from consistency. It's from consistently showing up, sharing the same message over and over again. See, your message doesn't change. The audience changes. So, you may go see your favorite speaker. You go see them 3-4 times. They're like, they talking about the same exact thing. Yes, because there's experts specialize in, 1 or 2 things. They're not going to be changing the talk every time. The audience changes. And that consistency is what builds you better. Same thing with sports. Those reps are what makes you better. That practice, you got to take 1,000 free throws in practice so that you can hit the 2 in the game that matter. So that consistency creates that clarity. Those who win show up consistently long enough to be seen. You got to get past the 3 episodes. I offer a package where we come in, we shoot your first 10 shows right off the bat. So when you work with my podcast partner, you're walking out with a whole mini season done. You're going to have 10 episodes automatically done. So you already passed that 3. Imagine having 10 episodes that you already shot at one time. And I got 3 months of shows done. We're going to get into more of what you do with those shows, how you can make that content. That's a whole nother show. I don't want to spill it all on y'all at one time, right? But understand that. So here's what I want to do. If you are looking to launch your authority podcast brand, I want you to go ahead and DM me. You can leave messages on YouTube now. You can DM me. You can go to mypodcastpartner.com, and schedule a production call. You'll see the link right there on the website. You can schedule that production call. But again, follow us on Instagram, My Podcast Partner. We're on TikTok as well. Wherever you want to follow us here on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe and set the alarms. We want to help you grow your business in the right way and grow your podcast in the right way so that you can benefit from that. So we're going to do this. Again, I'm just setting the groundwork on the podcasting industry and the business, because from when we really kicking this thing in high gear, I'm going to be interviewing your favorite podcasters. We're going to ask them 10 questions, knock it out, and grow as a group, as a collective going forward. So I am excited about this first episode. Listen, see, I did it. First episode, we went live. I don't know how it, I can't even see the comments. I forgot to log in so I could look at the comments and follow y'all. So I hope somebody's watching. I hope somebody's commenting. The next episode, I promise you, I will be able to follow along with the comments as well. But I did it. And that's the thing. Now I have something I can go back on and improve. I couldn't improve upon something I never did, right? And that's what I'm going to encourage you to do as well. Just do it. I've got to even get up to go turn off the stop the live feed. I didn't even think about that. I got to go walk over there. Y'all going to see me. Good thing I got pants on. Anyway, all right, y'all. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next episode of the podcast about podcast. I'm your host, Ryan C. Greene. Be dope.
The podcast about podcast.